Hey guys, so good to see you again. I'm terribly sorry about not getting a video out this week, but I said I would try to do one of these about once a week, and they're incredibly easy to make. I basically just have to turn the camera on, so you'll get one of these at the very least. It's been an incredibly slow week around here, and by slow I mean entirely and 100% unmoving. A few months back, I think just before Thanksgiving, the car I was driving decided it would be fun to explode and rip its engine apart on a whim, leaving me stranded with a dead pile of scrap. But that was fine. It was okay, because as luck would have it, I had a second car, so I simply switched over. And that was until about 2 weeks later, when that car did the same thing. Those were cars 1 and 2 out of the eventual 5 that would end up destroyed by me and my friends in the past 3 months or so. 2 breakdowns, those were both me, 1 hit by a drunk driver, 1 rollover, and 1 case of the brakes just not engaging. But all told, 0 lasting injuries. So I guess it definitely could have been worse. But anyways, since then I've been at the mercy of friends and family for rides whenever they have a gap in their schedules. So I end up spending most of my time in my dark, but admittedly very warm little writer's cabin, doing my best to ration my extremely limited supply of food and sort of just waiting for things to happen. I live in Alaska. There's about 3 real cities in the whole state, and each is hundreds of miles away from the next. I've looked, but in just about all of those cities, no one is selling a car that I can even begin to afford. As you might expect from someone trying to start a YouTube art career, I'm not exactly in the higher tax brackets, which is a bit of a problem when you're trying to find something that not only runs now, but will last you through the long, dragging remainder of the Alaskan winter. Admittedly, it's been an incredibly warm winter here, usually sitting somewhere around 0, but we get cold spells pretty frequently where it gets much, much lower. Right now it's 21 below 0, it says it'll get down to negative 30 sometime tonight, but honestly after 5 below it never seems to feel any colder, but that's just my experience. Other than the slow creep of my ever-slipping cabin-fevered mind, it hasn't been bad here. I have a lot of time to paint, and it's basically all I do. I just wake up whenever the arbitrary thing in my mind tells me when the day should begin. Sometimes it's morning, usually it's not, and I sit back down at my desk and get to work on filling up this book. I've been making slow but generally steady progress. There's 200 pages in here, which means to finish it by the end of the year, I need to do a page about once every 2 days. Doing the math, that means I should have about 11 pages done by now, which I guess was good to know as it tells me how much ground I have to regain to get back on schedule. But I'm not super worried about it. I know that fighting to stay on arbitrary schedules isn't really conducive to having a good time. So I'm spending most of my time painting, trying to get the most fulfillment out of what I'm doing, and making the most of this free time before I eventually do get that new car and have to put my head back down and get back to work. My main source of income right now is another YouTube channel I run on here, but without a car, my options for what I can film for that one is incredibly limited. But even if I could, I wouldn't really want to. Most of what I film there is filmed outside, and as you can imagine, this is a very, very unfortunate time of year and part of the world to have a job that requires you to film outside. So I paint. I paint and work constantly to improve and learn new things. It's really a field I know nothing about, and it's been really fun and exciting to dive into this new medium. I even picked up some books the other day, and I've been working through some of the prompts and learning the basics, which is strange because, as far as art goes, I haven't really learned the basics in a long, long time. I guess that goes to show how little I dip my toes into new mediums. Or maybe more accurately, how I tend to just start doing things and figure out how to do them right later. It's kind of how I go about learning everything, even stuff that really should be done under a bit more guidance. Take ring making, for example. I started messing around with molten metals in my garage when I was 16, because I knew I'd always wanted to make my own rings, and I had to try and figure out how to do it, even if the safety measures were questionable. And I mean, like, really questionable. I have spilled a concerning amount of silver and bronze on the floor of the garage. That's kind of how I've always operated, but right now I'm under no pressure or time constraints or even budgetary restrictions on what I can and can't do. I have paint, I have paper, I have brushes, and now that I have books, I might as well try to figure out the right ways to do some of the things I'm doing, because I have a long while longer to spend in this cabin, wasting away with the little food I have, fulfilling the starving artist tropes to their fullest extent. I mean, I have nothing but cereal and ramen right now, and barely anything to eat them with. I think I have one bowl and a single fork. That was actually sent to me by a subscriber. It's got my full name engraved on it. It's very, very cool. I think there's one spoon, but that's oh right, that spoon's in the jelly jar, and the jelly jar it's been open for a while. That spoon is pretty gross. So is that jelly. I should really get rid of that. Oh, and speaking of food, I know a lot of you guys were pretty upset about my brushes before, and, well, my friends, I am pleased to announce that it gets so much worse. I had a can of octopus open the other day. It was the very last morsel of food I had left after about 4 days of being stuck here, but anyways, there's a lot of oil left over in the can after everything is gone, and I kind of had it in a precarious spot, and when I was setting up the lights to start filming, I knocked that can right into my water cup, so if bent brushes weren't already enough, now most of them are covered in octopus oil, which I'm sure is utterly horrifying to a lot of you, but I thought was pretty funny. That's kind of an extreme example, but I will say that if you're getting into painting, just buy some random dollar store brushes. They're hardier than you think they are. You shouldn't let something like oily octopus residue stop you from having fun, because really that's what it's about. It's about creating something that sparks joy. And really, that's what I'm hoping to get out of this year. Yes, I'm learning to paint. Yes, I'm trying to fill the book, but those are kind of just things to keep me doing it every day. I have the extra element of having to film most of this stuff, but this journey is as much about finding joy in art as it is about growing this channel or filling the book. There's a thing I've heard a lot from musicians throughout my life, which is to say, from all of my friends and family, as I'm the only one who can't play an instrument. I've tried at many points in my life to learn that instrument, but I've never really had the drive for it. I like the idea of, being able to riff on something, but I realized that was the wrong reason to want to learn. The musicians in my life always said that if you want to learn an instrument, the only way you'll ever succeed is if you do it without being prompted. If you look forward to practicing and enjoy the process. If you have to force yourself, it just won't happen. I think art in all its forms is very much the same. You have to love it, you have to want to do it every day, and honestly, I'm not sure if that's a skill that can be learned. If it can, I'll figure out how and do a video on it one day, but don't hold your breath. I think art elitism is a very stupid thing. There's nothing special about the artist, except maybe the innate love of beauty, design, color, light, the world around us. I think that spark of love for the tones and shades and facets of everything, that might be the one special innate component. That's my guess, at very least. And I think that's about it for today. Let me know what videos you might want to see soon, and please subscribe if you like this video. If you want to support me and keep me making videos, there's a donation link at the top of my channel page. It's entirely up to you, but any little thing is greatly appreciated. Thank you all so much for watching, and have a wonderful Sunday.